welcome to another exciting, hair-raising, fun-filled episode of Radiorama, where, as the name implies, I show you how to work on radios. And this was donated to our museum last week. It is a 1962 Telefunken 5083WK consolette stereo system. It still kind of works. First of all, we have some damage to the cabinet. I don't know what the situation is with the tone arm here. It looks like it's been updated. This originally came with the salt crystal cartridge. Looks like it's magnetic or ceramic. That's good. It's got its feet or legs. Looks like it still has paperwork. It looks like this has fallen off. Anyway, let's try it out. I want to see if this record player still has tonal qualities on the tone arm. Okay, it indeed has sound. That's a good start. One thing I'm noticing is that the on-off switch isn't working. Probably it's all greased up. Alright, so I'm going to bring it into the shop and start dismantling it. Alright, well, of course I got distracted with all the crap going on over at the museum, but I have taken all the screws that were out underneath here. I don't see how this could be a stereo because there's only one speaker and two tweeters. So my guess is that it's only stereo when you hook up the exterior speakers. That's my guess, so it's basically misleading. The chassis is not that impressive. It looks more like a tabletop chassis they've shoved into a larger cabinet. But anyway, what I usually find is that the rubber mounts for the chassis tend to turn into glue, so they stick. Except these didn't. Never mind. Anyway, we're going to pull the whole thing out. Okay, I'm going to start working on the chassis. First thing I'm going to replace is this electrolytic. There are two of them inside. Two 50 microfarad caps. It's going to be real interesting dealing with this because everything is kind of kludged together. So the the negative is chassis ground. So I can just move the positives around and relocate the negatives of the electrolytic capacitors somewhere in the chassis. So let me see what's going on under here. Looks like we have two leads. It's very hard to see. I'm sorry, guys. I might be able to hang them off of here. I don't know. This is a very tight chassis. All right. Sometimes it requires being creative. But we got one capacitor here, and the other one right here. So I believe the switch is hosed on this guy. It will not turn on and off, but that's okay. It's got a cord switch, so that's just how it's going to have to be. This spring-loaded slide mechanism has come loose from here, so what I'm going to have to do is find something to reattach it. I'm not sure what was there originally, but it's long gone. We need it because the tuning indicators were kind of right on top of it, and so right now it's kind of super wonky. All right, so now that I've replaced the electrolytics, it's time to start replacing some of the paper caps. So anyway, we can see some of the ends of the caps have started coming out. So that might be shorted.
You can't do anything. Everything's got to be a smooth motion.
All right, so recapped everything. It took forever. It's a really strange way of manufacturing things. It's just like rat's nest type construction. Anyway, it's time to put it back in the cabinet and give it a rip, see if it works. You know, I realize I probably need to stop filming episodes at the museum because what happens there is often what results in what I'm experiencing right now, which is it worked before and I recapped it and now it doesn't work very well. It's very quiet. So what I'm doing is I'm looking very carefully all around. And one thing I noticed, I'm not sure if this is the culprit here, but one of my solder joints here, these connections are very close to each other. This was touching chassis, and that's going to one of the tone controls. So I'm going to test it again, and if it's still not working, it'll be time to do some basic diagnostics, starting with the measurement of B+, and working my way back from rectifier output stage. The radio part works, so it's either the rectifier or the output stage. It's my thought. I could have miswired something. Again, it's very distracting over there. There's constantly electronics coming in and people coming in and talking, and so I got distracted. It's my fault. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. Actually, I recently finally bought myself a metered Variac, and this was a project on its own yesterday. It turned out that there were 2 out of the 4 small glass germanium diodes that were in the meter circuit, and so it was showing really inaccurate readings. I got this pretty cheap. I wanted a Syncor, but I think Syncor carries, the good name, and so they are more expensive. They're like $500 versus this, which was like $100. But it's the same exact function as the Syncor. Just doesn't have the name. It's a B&K. B&K makes good stuff. They're still around, so I trust it. There's plenty of documentation online for it. I had a hard time finding a schematic for this guy. I don't know why, but anyway, I'm going to plug it in, the radio into this, see if the little wire I just bent solves it. If not, it's going to have to be deep dive, problem solving. Apparently, that was what the problem was. I was thinking about it last night. I was like, crap, what did I do? Because it's like I said, this kind of set, you really need to be on the ball. You really need to pay attention to what you're doing because of the haphazard way it's put together. I know that sounds lame, but anyway, I have now restored volume.
All right, let's get into that for a second, just because we're going to get into so much football. But
yeah, football.
Préstamo y buscando a la gente de bienes y raíces.
That switch is messed up. Anyway, it's working good now, so on to the rest of the machine. What I want to do is clean this up, clean the tubes, actually I already cleaned the volume controls and stuff yesterday because they had the oxit over there and I ran out. And maybe clean the tube sockets. I want to lubricate and oil all of the tuning mechanism crap, even though it seems to be moving quite well. And the paper, there's kind of like some wax paper that was behind here. And of course that fell off, so I'm going to cut some new paper and glue it on there. Here's my jerry-rigged little holders for the rails. These were coming loose. Now I've fixed them. It seems like luckily the tube that tends to go bad in these guys, ECC 85, is performing well. So starting the day off better than yesterday for sure. And I've got a pile of radios I need to work on now. There's like 3 or 4 of them over there, and then there's this guy. I need to also work on the cabinet. It's kind of early in the morning right now, and it's cold outside. Cold for us weenie Californians anyway. And I want to see if I can remove, or at least obscure, a lot of this staining, because I'm not good at refinishing things. And also work on the, oh fuck, damn it, this guy, hope I didn't damage the needle on it. I should have kept that locked down. Seems like the platter actually turns pretty well. I think Telefunken licensed the Voice of Music movement, so I'm very familiar with that. Let me get all the documentation out. I'm curious. Sonata Hi-Fi. Attention, contrary to the operating instructions, this radiogram receiver is adjusted to 115 volts. Fine. Oh, schematic. Oh, if I need it, I've got it. Let's see. Operating instructions. You can see where somebody wired in the cartridge. Distributors in the United States. Huh. Shipped in 1999 from I can't pronounce that. Waukegan, Illinois. What else I got here? Doing this one-handed is all kinds of fun. I'm sure you guys really appreciate this. Alignment instructions. Oh, is there 2 schematics? Yeah, just as I confirmed, it looks like it is stereo, but you have to have an external speaker to make it true stereo. It's mono if you don't. That's okay. I'm not really concerned about that. Does it even show my tube sockets, bottom of view? It's showing you how to count 1, 2, 3, 4 through 9 different pins. G equals yellow. It's nice. They translated all the German abbreviations into English and I think Spanish and French. The contact bridges are shown in unoperated positions. Anyway, enough about that. It's again, it's a little chilly. I might go inside and get some coffee and come back out here. And I think I'll easily be able to get this guy finished today. But I'm taking my time. It's Sunday. My wife is away on a trip, so I'm all here by my lonesome, just me and the cats. Me and the radios and the cats. Okay, I did clean up stuff a little bit. It's interesting that approximately half the tubes in it are General Electric tubes. So I'm looking here. The top of that tube looks weird. It looks gassy. I'll test them. It's easier to test them out of the machine. And what I'm going to do in the meantime is lubricate everything that moves. You don't want to get it on the dial string. That would be unfortunate. Basically all these little doohickeys here, you want to get well lubricated. I'm kind of wondering, is this the tuning condenser for AM or FM? That's for FM. I'm guessing the tuning condenser for AM is underneath because I don't see it up here. But anyway, you get the idea. We want to go here and make sure that everything that moves is going to move very nice. So that means oiling all the little pulleys and everything. Get the tone control shaft, the volume pot shaft. I'm using making a gross noise, Zoom spout oil on this stuff. Yeah, that's already moving a lot better. I'll probably oil the tuning mechanism underneath. Alright, I'm doing 2 things. Number 1, I installed the line in for the audio in for the Bluetooth. And I'm going to glue this new grommet. This pilot light goes through here. And the original material that was around it just turned rock hard. And since this is probably attached to the filament winding on the transformer, if that shorts, that can destroy the transformer. So it needs to be really well secured. So I'm waiting for my hot glue gun to warm up so I can glue this grommet on, then shove it and put it in this hole here. Alright, well I tested the tube that looks gassy and it's shorting on several sections. While it tests okay, that tube is very suspect. But luckily, yesterday one of our members dropped off some parts at my workbench, and I guess a whole bunch of 6BQ5s came in a box. So I took them home because my supply is starting to run low. Let's see, what is this guy going to do? You never know with these guys. It could be, these also could be worn out. Oh, that's very happy. But it's also showing shorts, and I'm not sure if there's something going on with my machine. Let me try a few more of these. If this one's shorts, then I'm going to be suspect that maybe I have the settings wrong or something. It's very strange. Is this guy even lighting? Yeah. It appears to be pretty sick. I believe the one before it, which is a Sylvania, was in much better shape. I'm going to test the other one. There's this Realistic / Radio Shack one. Yeah, I think this tube's probably okay. There's just a few tubes that my tube tester acts funny on, and I'm not sure why. Let's see if this one shorts. Is this even lighting up? Yeah. Holy crap, it's measuring backwards. Let me make sure I have my settings here correct. 6BQ5, 6.3 EV2 7930, 7930 EV30. Test on C, press 3. That tube's really bad. All right. Test this guy. I don't think I've tested this one. Aha. No shorts on that one either. But is it coming on? Yes, it's coming on. And how will you test? Well, at least it's not testing negative. Sometimes these guys take a little while to get going. It's a pretty big envelope. Doesn't look happy. Oh, wait a minute. It's just taking its time. Shut up, crows. Let's see what the minimum is. Minimum is 50. This one's going 57, 58 and climbing towards 60. Alright, well, I'm going to put the two that aren't shorting in the set. Yeah, it's like an old man getting out of bed. Alright, I've decided to test it out. Hooked it up to both sets of speakers. Sounds pretty good, actually. I'm happy with that. I'll take that. The last thing I want to do, I really want to clean that contact in that fuse area, because that's oftentimes that'll corrode and build up resistance, and then fuse will prematurely fail. I did find two matching tubes that have the exact same measurements. So we're firing. Southern accent gets in the way sometimes. We're firing on all cylinders. And now it's time to work on the record player. Looks like some stuff has come loose on it. That rubber mat is stiffened up. Oh, really? Someone lost a snap ring. Let's see. New rubber. September 1993. That's pretty new compared to what I usually see in these guys. It's still in good shape. So this has been worked on. Wouldn't be surprised if I don't have to do that much. Yeah, that's totally a voice and music changer. 50 to 60 hertz. Good. It'll play at the right speed. Some of these guys that I get in that are actually European models, they're at 50 hertz and the record player won't play the right speed because we are at 60 hertz over here in the good old US of A. But just like the other voice and music units, these guys just need to be oiled up. Seems like it actually moves pretty freely already, but we'll take care of it. I'm going to use that same zoom spout oil that I was talking about. One of the biggest problematic areas is there's a roller bearing underneath this cog, and that needs to be made sure that it'll free up, otherwise it won't change properly. Alright, it's definitely a little gunked up. And so I'm going to take the changer mechanism off. It usually comes off in just one piece. I always tend to take a lot of photos before I do that, because this is a little bit different than some of the voice and music changers I've seen. What I want to do is be able to take this off and then take this gear out and clean and lubricate all of its bearing surfaces, because this is usually the biggest friction point in the whole player. And we just want to clean everything up and get all working nice and loosely. Alright, so here's the top part that came off, and now I have access to this cog, which really isn't moving at all. So I'm going to remove it. There's a C-clip up here that you remove, and then you push it out. Sometimes you have to use a little heat. Do not force it. If you bend it, then you're in big trouble. Okay, so I've got that loosened up and relubricated. This turns real easy. You want everything in this to turn real nice and easy. So I'm going to go through and touch up all these little pivot joints where stuff moves. And then I want to test cycle it through to make sure that it's working. Okay, I've got this test running. Initially it was a little slow. Sometimes it takes a little while for the new oil to work into the motor bearings. But I think what I'm going to let it do is just let it sit here and play for a while. That's 45, 33, 16. The idler wheel seems to be in very good condition. I suspect it was new back in 1998. That's much better than what I usually find, which is 60-year-old dry rotten rubber. So what I'm going to do is this is going to spin here for maybe an hour. I've done everything that I wanted to get done electrically. Now it's time to work on some cosmetics. I do have the knobs sitting in a little solution of some ammonia and some warm water. I'm going to have to polish the knobs too. The brass is messed up. I also want to polish the plastic dowel cover, and I also want to work on the wooden cabinet. So it's actually turned out to be kind of a nice day. So I'm going to take it outside. Alright, so now it's time to move on to the cabinet. For this cabinet, because it is light, I'm going to use Old English for light woods, not dark woods. We'll try that out first. I just want this shit to soak in there. Looks like I'm urinating all over it. Anyway, I'm going to rub that in with a paper towel and see what happens. Well, I wasn't able to get all of the stains off, but it looks so much better than it did, both inside and out. This seems to be real easy to trip. I guess because I was cleaning it. I was sitting here wiping that down and it slammed, and I feel like it went off in my ear. So that wasn't pleasant. Now, that is one thing. What I want to do now is install, well, you go over this with beeswax. Why is this acting funny? Never mind, I guess it's alright, whatever. I do want to clean the inside. I know that that's not necessary, but I do it anyway. Alright, so I finally replaced the sheet of paper so that the light will be diffused. I don't know why Telefunken chose this as a way of doing it, but what I need to do is put the dial glass back on, even though it's plastic. The original rubber that was kind of holding it in place rotted, so I found these, it's kind of rubber grommets. I'm hoping that will work to secure this back in place. All right, I've done the final assembly on the chassis. It's ready to reinstall. The record player is ready to install. I think I'm going to put just a coat of beeswax on the top of this, and then I'll start doing a final reassembly. I also reattached the badge in the front so it says Sonata, so everyone will know what model it is, like it matters. But I'm using a product called Howard's Beeswax. Works really well on this type of finish. I might try to clean this up just a little bit more. I mean, it's looking pretty decent, but I just want it to look just a little better. Okay, initially, well, this is the initial chassis install and test. It seems to be working pretty good. It's not really bad sounding considering all there's in there is just a oval speaker and 2 little tweeters. I'm sure it sounds great if you hook up auxiliary speakers. In fact, I have these that actually belong to a freelance, someone I'm doing some freelance work for. I'm wondering if I could hook those up just to see what that sounds like. Whatever, I don't really care. I need to put the record player in and also put the back on so that curious little fingers won't electrocute themselves. And then it'll be time to do some burn-in tests, make sure it's going to work. All right, so she's done. Right now I've got a record playing on it. Then we can switch over to radio.
She looks like a total prostitute.
And then likewise, I can plug in my Bluetooth receiver back here. I'm doing it one-handed, by the way. Come on, get on there. Ah, there we go. And now that should play music. He said, making a fool out of himself. All right, let me reset this, and I'll reset the Bluetooth. And that's the Bluetooth. And I've got the back all nice and sealed up. That cardboard's back in place. Put the back on the speakers back on. It gives it a little more bass response. Anyway, what I tend to do with these guys is I'll let them, play for a good day or so. That way, if there's any problems, I'll know about it before it goes out into the wild blue yonder again. Anyway, this is kind of a fun little stereo. I think this will make a great little addition to someone that has maybe an apartment or something with not a lot of room, but they still want a nice looking mid-century modern piece. So that concludes this episode of Radiorama. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down in the comments section below. And I'm doing a really bad job of getting 2 comments in general. Sorry about that. Life is complicated right now. As in, like, I'm getting a new driveway installed. So right now, I have sand for a driveway. Concrete comes in tomorrow, I believe. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Until the next time, I'll see you later. Adios.